Okay, now today's talk is going to be a lot different than Matt's yesterday, which I really enjoyed. I really learned a lot because I'm not used. I recognize some of his habitats because Waukulla Springs, some of the areas that I've used for my own studies. But this is about mosquitoes, and I didn't know what the audience would be. But I see there's not a whole lot of entomologists, so bear with me as I go through this. Because this is the target species I'm going to talk about today, is mosquitoes. We work in our unit with a lot of different kinds of biting flies, a lot of different species of mosquitoes. We don't work with Sporothella, but it'd be interesting to do some stuff. Lutomia, Samphire, but I'm going to concentrate on our mosquito studies. Now, this is just one of our recent projects, and what we're aiming for is the development of a GIS-based early detection system for diseases. We were just talking earlier today, that's why I said you'd be interested in that. But I'm not going to talk about any of this stuff over here, because a lot of it would be a seminar in itself for each one of these topics. I'm going to concentrate pretty much over here on our work with semiochemicals. And what we're trying to do is to develop new ones, or identify and utilize new ones. And I'm getting ahead of myself already. And we have two major objectives with this semiochemical studies. One is to develop improved or innovative attractor-based surveillance monitoring systems. And the other is to develop novel semiochemical-based population management systems. So what I showed you on that second slide was only kind of our surveillance part, but we do a lot of work also on population management of mosquitoes and other biting flies. One of our biggest missions is to protect the deployed warfighter. So a lot of the technology also then spills over into the civilian community. And two of the population management strategies that we're looking at, it applies to other areas of biology, ecology. It's push-pull systems and attract and kill. And I'll see if I can let you see. Now, our approach has been what we say, we use a scientific approach sometimes. The hypothesis-driven research approach, life cycles, you'll see is my basis for this. But sometimes I get accused of doing the MacGyver approach. I don't know how many of you remember the program MacGyver, but he didn't believe in carrying guns. He just utilized what was ever available to him. So part of ours, I think it's semi-scientific. You'll let you judge. So the scientific approach, when we first got into this, we wanted to see what was known in the literature about semiochemical pheromones with mosquitoes. And as important as I think they are, it was really surprising that carbon dioxide was probably the only one semiochemical, and some people challenged the word that carbon dioxide is semiochemical, that was really widely utilized by the mosquito people. And it was first identified by Rudolphs in Princeton in 1922 as a mosquito attractant. Then Bill Reeves at Berkeley was the first really to use it in the field. And there's this debate, even in the mosquito world, about does it activate from long distance, short distance, or is it only used for orientation to find the host? And I think there's not one answer. I think it depends on the species, and you'll see that's one of the messages I want to get across in this lecture is that, we try, there's over in Florida, 70-some species of mosquitoes. And if you try to design something that's really generic, it's really difficult to do. But the other one in the literature was lactic acid, and that was Acri and others in 1968. And this was done at the USDA lab that I work at. But nobody ever really picked it up and really utilized it for field studies. And then the third one was the 1-octene-3-ol, which was used for the ZT project in Zimbabwe. And we stumbled onto that because one of the guys came over to spend a year with me from Zimbabwe, and we really wanted to do GIS and remote sensing, but nobody thought it was worthwhile for us to do. It's not a good technology. So we couldn't get funding from many agencies. The letters we got from NSF or NIH would laugh today when you see how well GIS technology is used. So my approach is what I call the life cycle approach, and we look at every link in the life cycle to see if we can identify semiochemicals that might be utilized either for surveillance or for population management. And of course, the logical place to start, since mosquitoes like people, they like animals, is to study the host location of feeding. Some of the techniques that we used to use bigger marbles, but then we got a chemist on board. He was a grad student, I was co-chair of his committee. And he thought the big marbles that were our marbles, so he came up with these little beads. And he said because big marbles didn't fit in his little tubes, so you rub the marbles in your hand for 10 minutes, and then he would take them and put them in these GC injection port. And then another technique that he brought with him was these tether bags that you put over the arms, and then after so many minutes, there's I call them satellites, but little vacuum devices, canisters, and you can suck out all the volatiles that come out in a certain period of time. And what you could do with that, and this is our chemist. If you saw him today, he's only about half of what he was there. He lost half the weight that he had at that time. So with the canisters, you can either put it directly from the canister and onto our mosquitoes. This is our olfactometer system, which I'll show better pictures later. And the mosquitoes, you can see which, if they were attracted to the total volatiles. Or you could then put it directly into GCMS to see what comes out. Or you can split it so you could immediately see where your response was. Not much there, just from the chromatograph, the hardware. Uli always gives me this, he's the chemist, because he says I'm a biologist and I don't know much about it, so I just show the pictures, and that was his system. And I'm not going to go into the details, but you can see we used a lot of techniques in order to identify the attractors that I'm going to talk about. And then also these are some of the chemical techniques that he ran at the same time on his GCMS. And the point just being that multiple techniques, and even when you use solvents, multiple solvents to identify all the possible volatiles, we ended up identifying over 330 from the human arm. Now this is our olfactometer. What you do is it's a dual port, so you can either have one compound and one check blank. When you put 75 mosquitoes, whatever species at this end, you can see some of them. Let them acclimate for about an hour. Then you open up the port. And you can only do one level at a time. And the air system, we have to design a special air system because mosquitoes, if the room air is probably contaminated, like you guys are putting 300 each of the volatiles into the air, so you can't use that air to test. So we had to design a pretty elaborate system because the outside air is also contaminated with volatiles of all kinds, and you can't use that, so we had to develop all these filters to really get the answer. Now, the MacGyver approach was to look at things like cheeses, dirty socks, wine, mushrooms, limestone, and coral. And I'll show you wine. My colleague again from the Netherlands that we did the Octanol with, his group is really involved with malaria control in Africa. And they found that Anopheles gambiae were really attracted to the Limburger cheese. And he's flying the flag for it. But if you read the you that cheese is from the city of Limburg. And the monks, the way they used to stir up the curds was with their feet. So I don't know if you tasted it, not really good to me, but that bacteria is still used in the making of Limburger cheese. Well, not like the Limburger cheese, I thought we had to look at others. He sent me all these kind of Limburger cheeses, but I picked one that I like, the bloom cheese, and it can be, and really is really attracted to the Limburger, but it just like, unfortunately for us, they like blue cheese and red wine. So we had to have that in our laboratory to do our experiments. But then another question that comes up often is, people differ from each other. Is that really true? When I ask this question all the time. So we looked at different people, and here's somebody that's not so attractive to the students, and this one is. And you look at the peaks, and there's a lot of similarities, but then as you look closer, there's a lot of dissimilarities. So we took the volatiles that we got off of the people from these studies, and you can see the range. This guy actually was, when I got to the lab, was the head of the project. And you can see the implications when you go to the field. When we were doing repellent studies, if he was the control, we'd be there all day. And if this guy was there, we'd get out real early. Because whenever he had a candidate compound on, he would break it down really fast. I was running this study, so I wasn't in it myself. I just volunteered myself for this. But I want you to see the DS and KP, because we did studies with these guys later on. And if you look at it, when we actually identified the amounts of material, the DS, you can see almost all the way down the line here, has a lot more of everything than KP. So even though you may have the same amount, the same 300 and some volatiles, what's really important is how much and what are the ratios. In addition to people different, the same person, parts of your body, if you rub, we would do the petri dish, you rub it on different parts of the body, you can see the face and the hand, and you go to the field, what do you get? You get a lot of attacks from a lot of species into your face and your hand. Now, in this case, you're not, the CO2, of course, you're exhaling, but you're not getting that on the petri dish. So there are a lot of things in the face that normally do come. So in all our studies, we found age, race, sex, diet, health status, type of medication, level of physical activity, all influence attractancy, and it can change. Now, I told you our chemist is only half the person that he used to be, and that's not by intellect, but by weight. And he got his undergrad degree at Florida State University. Even though he got his PhD at Florida, and I was his co-advisor, he still thinks the Seminoles are so much better than the Gators. So we used that off that time where we predict who was going to win the game. And I used to beat him really badly, and the Gators used to beat the Seminoles really badly at that time. Until I had to go on a medication, and he had a heart attack at the age of 37, lost half his weight. And after he did that, and exercised, I never beat him again, and lost to Florida State about 6 years in a row. So, and here I'm not going to go through all this. I just want to point out that what we started doing. I should say that when we had that canister, and that leads into this slide, we looked at the peaks, and we took the 30 most, the largest peaks, and we developed the blend that was going to win us the Nobel Prize for controlling mosquitoes worldwide. And we put it in there in the right ratio, and not one mosquito responded. Not one. So we were pretty disappointed, and we haven't come close to the Nobel Prize since. So one of those original attractants that I talked about, we decided we had to go back to the drawing board, so we started with lactic acid, and then we started adding, and we did look at the 30 So we started combining it with acetone, and you see at the top there, 95%. So we started to develop a pretty good blend. So we looked at other species that was these albopictus, these Egypti. Remember, there was 25% response to lactic acid. We put albuminous, which was a malaria vector, in the Caribbean, and same thing, and only 1.4% responded. If you mixed it with other things, like at the top, lactic acid with methylene chloride, we got like 97%. So again, the message that I want to really get across is you're not going to develop one blend that's going to work really well for all species, but that's one of our tasks, to get a generic blend, and to get one if we can use this for control. Now when you look at albopictus was response to lactic acid is somewhere in between and so again we were adding other things, carbon disulfide was a fairly good one. So we keep on developing these blends. Here's back to Egypti again, and we compared it to the human hand. What we wanted to do was to beat the human hand in a non-competitive test first. To get a blend that would have a better response than the human hand. And then here you can see Woolley at this time was doing 67, so you can see several of our blends were actually doing better than the human hand. So this is just to illustrate that point again. If you look at just lactic acid studies that we did where we really wanted to exact amounts out, you can see, again, Egypti really likes lactic acid, and albopictus does not. So, then what happens when you do competitive tests? So this is where you put something in each port to see which does best. If you mix the lactic acid with acetone, which is a good binary blend, how many mosquitoes would go to that port? We got 60, and then 8.5, and the other ones were really confused and they didn't know where to go. So if you do acetone and against acetone, it got a little better response than the other one. So our goal there was to, again, a good optimization of this binary blend. And then once we got this, we added dimethyl disulfide and as a tertiary blend. And when we did that, we were able to beat out the human hand. We also looked at all the different ketones singly, because we were finding acetone seemed to be the best, but there was some literature that said butanone might be a good one. And it wasn't bad, but acetone, and then you compare it to lactic acid, acetone is the one that really viable for beating it out. And if you combine the two and did it in the olfactometer, you see the lactic acid, acetone, and the lactic acid, butanone were good binary blends. So, to summarize the tracking part, we wanted to say, based on the chemical analysis, develop a synthetic blend that, because in a lot of tests that we were doing, we wanted something that could be used as a standard. And one person may vary a whole lot from day to day, so we wanted a standard blend, so that's what we did. And by August of 1997, we had already found that this blend of lactic acid and acetone was really good. And then when we added dimethyl disulfide, we found that that was the best combination. And that was in 97, and it's still the best blend of 3 components that we can find. We do have a patent on that. And we try to use it commercially, but it's really hard to control the release of acetone in a commercial world. So we got beat out by the Germans. They came up with one where they used ammonia for Egypti, and it's easy for them to control, so they have a good market. So for the first time in 2000, we were able to develop a blend where the synthetic blend actually outcompeted, got a better response, not outcompeted, a better response than the human hand. So then, we wanted to see this in the non-competitive, because one of the things, well, you saw Carl Schreck, the CS, the head, we're wondering, why was he so not attractive? Well, Carl had passed on at the time, so we had to find some other substitute. And our program assistant, when we started doing competitive tests, everybody, if I put my arm in and we had the synthetic blend in a competitive way, always went to the arm. So then when our program assistant, when she put her arm in, they went to the blend in huge numbers, like about 80% went to the blend and only 20% went to her. So we quickly put the $10 bag on her and see how she differed. And we found some compounds that she had a lot more of in greater ratio than anybody else. And so we call that the inhibitors. So in a non-competitive way, we took our blend, and then another test we did the blend plus some of these inhibitors, and you can see that they no longer like the blend. You can hide, it's like a masking agent. They didn't recognize no activity. You could do, so this was the blend, and then we took the actual hand, because that was more of a test, because there's a lot more stuff you have heat and other things, CO2 coming off. And again, when we added the inhibitor, you got them not recognizing the hand to the same degree. So then we came up with this idea of doing a competitive test. So the hand versus the inhibitor. This is the hand that when you started adding that, you can see that with the inhibitor, with the hand, they went to the synthetic blend. So we had to come up with a really good inhibitor, and we're still trying to get it developed and patented. We did get a patent on it, but to develop it so it's really easy to use in the field. We're still working on that. But it did get us increased funding because the chairman of the Agriculture Appropriations Committee down, Congressman, visited our lab, and we put him in his arm in the cage off that palmer, and we got similar data to this, and he said, oh, this we need to develop. So while he was there, we got pretty funding to do this. So we discovered the fracking inhibitors were gyptine, and we were able to verify that the inhibitors shifted the mosquito preference from the humans to the synthetic blends, and the blend of the inhibitors also worked really well with Anopheles albuminus, and also to a lesser extent, we're still working on it with albopictus. So we think we're on track to develop something that's really good. If you don't have this blend, you can't use it in the field. And you're a fisherman, get two of the people at CS, put one on either side of you, and it works just as well.